Hello all. Our next topic in multi-threading is thread synchronization. So before you continue with this topic, please read the previous two lectures that have been already uploaded. First lecture is regarding the introduction to multi-threading and how to create threads. Second lecture is regarding the thread control and thread priorities. After listening those two videos, you come to this video, then you will get a better understanding. So thread synchronization. So already in the first lecture we have seen using multi-threading, you can create more than one thread that can execute concurrently. So what is a thread means? It is smallest unit of dispatchable code by a process. So for an application, you can create different subtasks where each subtask can be carried out by a thread. So when more than one thread execute concurrently with each other, that concept is called as multi-threading. So in multi-threading environment, if more than one thread wants to access a shared resource, that is, if more than one thread wants to have access to a resource where that resource is used by some other threads. Shared resource means when more than one thread tries to access that shared resource, there must be a mechanism to ensure that resource will be used by one thread at a time. That is, if more than one thread is trying to access a same shared resource, then it must make sure that only one thread will access that shared resource. Otherwise, the data that is stored inside that resource may be inconsistent state, may be inconsistent. So the process that makes sure that only one thread is executing a shared resource is called as synchronization. Synchronization is the process of making sure that whenever a shared resource is shared among more than one thread, then the synchronization makes sure that that shared resource is executed by one thread at a time. Remaining threads will wait until that shared resource is executed by one thread and it relinquishes the control to another thread. So synchronization is the process that makes sure that whenever any shared resource is there at a time, only one thread executes it. Remaining threads wait until the thread executes that shared resource and relinquishes the control to other threads. So Java synchronization is better option where we want to allow only one thread to access the shared resource. Whenever we want to execute the shared resource by only one thread, then synchronization is the option. So different threads shouldn't try to access the same data at the same time. So different threads should not execute the shared resource at a time. That piece of code where if more than one thread execute that piece of code at a time, the data becomes inconsistent. Such piece of code is called as critical section. Critical section is a piece of code which need to be executed by only one thread at a time. So this process is achieved by using Java synchronization topic. So for example, consider a Java application where one thread, call it as a producer, that writes some data onto a memory. Consider let it be a shared data structure. For example, consider it is an integer array where producer writes some data into that integer array. While another thread, consider this as consumer, reads data from the same array, reads data from the same data structure. For example, in this scenario, the shared resource is an array. On that array, we'll be having some data. Producer produces the data into that array or shared resource. Consumer needs to consume data from that array. In this case, while producer is trying to produce data in the array, the consumer need to wait. Why? Because producer is producing the data. Once only producer produces the data, then only consumer can consume the data. Similarly, while consumer is trying to consume the data, the producer need to wait until consumer consumes the data. So this is a typical scenario of synchronization. Producer and consumer are two threads that operate on the same data structure. The data structure is shared between the producer and the consumer. Producer need to produce the data into the shared data structure, let it be an array, and consumer need to consume data from that array. The producer need to wait until consumer consumes the data, and consumer needs to wait until producer produces the data. In this, the two threads need to communicate with each other in such a manner that the data that is there in the array is consistent. If both producer and consumer doesn't communicate with each other, the data in the shared array becomes inconsistent. So this is an example for thread synchronization. See, as already we told, for example, consider there is a shared data structure. In that shared data structure, for example, consider there are two threads. First one is producer thread, second one is consumer thread. The producer thread need to produce data into the shared data structure, and consumer thread need to consume data from the shared data structure. In this, both the producer and consumer need to have access to a shared data structure. For example, consider the data structure is an array. Producer produces data into the array and consumer consumes data from the array. For example, initially consider array doesn't contain anything. Then consumer cannot consume it. Why? Because array is empty. Then consumer need to wait until producer produces the data into the array. Similarly, after producer produces data into the array, producer need to wait until consumer consumes the data. This is a typical example of a producer-consumer problem. For example, consider there is a producer. Producer is a thread in the threaded object that is writing into a data structure. That is writing into the data structure within the thread object using a method, say M1. Hence, M1 method need to be synchronized. While the producer thread is in method M1 and in the process of writing data into the shared data structure, care must be taken care to ensure that while data is in the process of being written to the data structure, no other thread, say a consumer thread must not be allowed to read data through some other method M2. So this concept is achieved by using synchronization. Whenever there is a shared data structure which need to be shared among multiple threads, we need to make sure that the shared data structure is synchronized between the various threads that try to access this shared data structure. So synchronization in Java achieves this mechanism. Whenever there is a shared resource, synchronization makes sure that at a time only one thread is executing that shared data structure. Remaining threads need to wait. So the shared data structure will be having a piece of code. That piece of code need to be executed by only one thread. That piece of code is called as a critical section. Always only one thread could be in the critical section. So the argument is we have to move towards a mechanism by which you are trying to ensure that no two threads end up accessing a shared data structure at the same time. That might lead to corrupting the data in the data structure. So here we have to make sure that at a time only one thread is accessing the shared data structure. So the mechanism how it is achieved means synchronization. Data should not be corrupted. So inside the critical section, only one thread can execute. So the current thread operating on the shared data structure must be granted mutually exclusive access to the data. That is, whichever thread is currently executing the shared data structure, that must be given mutually exclusive access. That is, at a time, only one thread can be within the critical section of the shared resource. So it operates upon the principle called as mutex or mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive means when two threads are competing for a resource, they must mutually agree that at a time only one thread will be able to execute a shared resource. This mechanism is achieved by using synchronization. So in Java, we will be using a concept called as synchronized methods or synchronized blocks to achieve this synchronization. So there is a concept called as a lock or a monitor. So what is a lock or a monitor means? It is a thread control mechanism. It is a thread control mechanism. A monitor is an object which is used as concurrency control mechanism. It is used as a mutual exclusive lock. So whenever if you use a monitor object or use a synchronized method, it will have a lock to that resource. So if I put synchronized before a method, that method will be locked. And while a thread is entering that monitor, other threads will wait until the lock has been released by the monitor. So Java synchronization operates upon this concept of lock or monitor. Whenever any thread wants to access a shared resource, it needs to acquire the lock, then only it can access the shared resource. Once it has done the job with the shared resource, it will release the lock so that some other thread can acquire the lock and execute the shared resource. See, for example, Duke. Duke is one of the Java's mascot. It is a trademark symbol that represents a Java's mascot. For example, consider he is using the trampoline. He is playing that game. Then other Dukes are waiting for their turn. At a time, only one Duke or one player can play using the trampoline. So, for example, consider playing the trampoline is a critical section or a shared resource. Whenever any resource wants to access that shared resource, it needs to acquire a lock or a monitor. So when the first Duke enters the monitor or enters the shared resource, remaining players or remaining Dukes will wait. How far they will wait? Until the first Duke finishes his playing, then he handovers the lock or monitor or object to the next thread waiting in the queue. So this is the concept where synchronization is used. Here the shared resource is your trampoline. At a time only one player can play with the trampoline. Remaining need to wait. Once he finishes playing with that shared object, remaining threads can execute. Other thread will be notified so that it can make use of the trampoline. So when threads want to share some data, when multiple threads have accessibility to a common data or a shared data, there must be a mechanism to ensure that only one thread is accessing the shared data. This mechanism is called synchronization. We only one thread need to have access to the shared data means so that the data will be consistent. The data will not be corrupted. So key to synchronization is the concept of a monitor. It is also called as a lock or a semaphore. So in Java, how will implement this synchronization or concurrency control mechanism is by using a synchronized method. By default, every object in Java has access to this synchronized method. Simply if you put synchronized keyword before a method, that object will acquire a lock. That is, not more than one thread can execute that method. So while a thread is executing synchronized method, all other threads that are trying to invoke that particular synchronized method or any other synchronized method of the same object will have to wait. See, for example, this is another scenario. For example, consider you are having a shared bank account. For example, consider there are two persons who are trying to withdraw their money from their joint account. They're having a joint account, so they're trying to withdraw a money. For example, consider both the persons are going to two different ATM machines and they are trying to withdraw the amount from the bank. So at a time, if two people trying to withdraw, that must not happen. Why? Because, for example, consider balance is 5,000. Each one is trying to withdraw 5,000 each at the same time. Then there the data will be inconsistent. So what happens means, for withdraw function, I need to acquire a lock. I need to put a lock, so that if one person is trying to access the money, another person in the joint account, he needs to wait. He must be denied access. So as given in the diagram, so the withdraw method need to be synchronized. Synchronized means at a time only one thread or one person will be able to withdraw the amount. Remaining person has to wait until his transaction is finished. That is how synchronization can be achieved. So we use synchronization. The synchronization, it is mainly used to prevent the thread interference. It is used to prevent the thread interference. That is, while one thread is executing a shared resource, another thread cannot enter the shared resource, to prevent consistency problem. So when more than thread try to access a shared resource, we must make sure that the data doesn't become corrupt or doesn't become inconsistent. So to prevent this consistency problem, we use synchronization. See, same thing. Whenever any object wants to execute on a shared resource, that is the example for the trampoline, what must happen means, whichever object wants to execute a shared resource, it must acquire a lock or a monitor. So whichever object has access to that lock, that thread only can execute the shared resource. That can only execute the shared method in our Java programming language. That is same as our, it is same as whenever a player wants to play in a trampoline. So in a trampoline, when one duke is playing, other dukes are waiting. So the duke that has acquired the lock can play with the trampoline shared object. So when one thread has acquired lock object, other threads will be waiting. So this thread indicated on the top that has got the lock, remaining threads will wait. Once this thread finishes, it releases the lock and another thread can acquire the lock or the monitor. So Java synchronization operates upon this on the concept of monitor or mutex or lock, mutually exclusive. All these must be mutually exclusive. So thread synchronization. There are two types of synchronizations available in Java. First one is mutual exclusive. Second one is inter-thread communication. So mutual exclusive, just now I have discussed, mutual exclusive operates upon the concept of a monitor or a lock. So mutual exclusive can be performed in three ways in Java by using synchronized method. Simply if you use synchronized keyword before a method, that method is set to be locked. That shared resource is set to be locked. That is, at a time only one thread can execute that method. Remaining threads need to wait until their turn comes out. Similarly, you can use synchronized block. Next, you can use static synchronization. These are the three ways in which you can use mutually exclusive. That is one way of performing thread synchronization. Another way is cooperation. That is inter-thread communication. How different threads communicate with each other while they have access to a shared resource. So first we will discuss about mutually exclusive. So as the name itself indicates, mutually exclusive means at a time only one thread can be within a critical section, or within a shared resource at a time only one thread can execute. Mutually exclusive helps keep threads from interfering with one another while sharing the data. While sharing the data among multiple threads, Mutually exclusive make sure that one thread doesn't interfere another thread. So this can be done by three ways: synchronized method, synchronized block, and static synchronization. So as I already told you, synchronization is in Java is built around the concept of a lock or a monitor. A lock or a monitor operates on the principle of mutually exclusive. Whenever any thread wants to access a shared resource, first it must acquire a lock and it can enter a shared resource. It can enter the critical section. When some other thread tries to access that shared resource, it will check that the lock is already with another thread and it will wait until and unless the thread is released by until and unless the monitor or lock is released by another thread, no other thread can enter the shared resource or it can acquire the lock. So now we'll explain the concept of this synchronization with an example program. So already I have multi-threading that I'll open Notepad. So whenever I want to illustrate synchronization, first what I must create means anyhow I must have multiple threads that need to have access to a shared resource. So to illustrate synchronization, we must have a shared resource, or we must have a data structure which need to be shared by multiple threads. So we already know how to create multiple threads. So now first we need to create a shared data structure. See, this is a shared data structure. That is, so in Java, everything is created by using a class. So now I am creating a data structure which can be shared by multiple threads. For example, in this case, I will create more than one thread that has access to this shared resource. See, for example, I will explain the problem without synchronization. See, for example, the name itself indicates this class is used to print the multiplication table of a number. Here, method is not synchronized. Here, method is not synchronized means at a time more than one thread will be able to execute this method. So this class simple. For example, here consider my shared resource is a table where it prints the multiplication table of a number. For example, system dot out dot println multiplication table of multiplication table of n is, for example, I want to print the multiplication table of a number. So multiplication table of any number. For example, one thread will give one number, another thread will give another number. For example, I want to print the multiplication table of a number. For int, I want to print till 10. For int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, semicolon, I plus plus. Then system dot out dot println 5 into, for example, any number, number into, for example, corresponding I value. For example, initially I will be 1. So for example, if I give a number as 1, it will give 5 into 1 equal to plus multiplication product is available in n star a. Just I am printing, for example, I give number as 3. 3 into initial n is always fixed 3. 3 into 1 equal to 3 into 2 equal to it will iterate. So for example, since multiple threads need to execute, I will induce some delay. You know already how to induce a delay. Delay can be induced by using the sleep method. Sleep method, what it does means, whichever thread that is currently being executed, it will be moved into blockable state. It will be moved into halted state. So whichever thread that is being run, for example, here first thread runs. After printing the first value, it will move into sleep mode for 1 second. That is, it will be terminated from execution for 1 second. After 1 second, it again moves to runnable state. Again, from runnable to running, it will be decided by JVM. We have seen the 5 states in the life cycle of a thread. See, here you need not even write sleep. Here you can even give an IO operation. See, already know what is an IO operation. For example, after printing the first value, I want to write this data into the disk. I want to write the data to another file. Files reside on the secondary memory. Your program runs on the primary memory. So, whichever, for example, initially, for example, given 3. Given number is 3. 3 into 1 equal to 3. For example, consider the 3 need to be written into a file. Then instead of having the sleep method, here you can have an IO operation. That is block on IO. So whenever an IO operation is needed, what happens means the CPU need to write the data from the primary memory to the secondary memory. So for that, for IO operation, it will take some service time. During this time, another thread can execute. That is the concept behind multi-threading. So while one thread goes into sleep mode, another thread can execute this part of the code. That is multi-threading. So sleep method throws a checked exception called as interrupted exception. You need to remember that is an interrupted exception. Just I'll write a blank one. So for example, consider table is a shared resource. The shared resource means, or shared data structure means, this can be shared by more than one thread. So now I need to create the threads. So this closes for loop, this closes the printable method, this closes the class. So next what I need to do, I need to create a threads. I need to create more than one thread. We already know how to create threads. Class myThread1 implements runnable. So this thread needs to access the resource. So shared data structure means the data structure need to be used by more than one thread. So now to use this resource in my class, I need to create a reference. In Java, whenever you want to use the properties and methods of another class, you need to create a reference or an object. In the constructor, I will initialize it. In the constructor, inside the constructor, I will initialize the table object. Simply current object equal to this dot equal to t. That initializes the table object inside my thread. Next, I need to write the functionality of the thread. So you know, where will you write the functionality of the thread? You will be writing the functionality of the thread inside the run method. Public void run. So for example, consider the functionality of this thread to print the multiplication table of, for example, consider I want to print the multiplication table of 5. So what happens? Already to print the multiplication table, there is a resource. The shared data structure is table. So t dot this method name print table of 5. So myThread1 prints the multiplication table of 5. Similarly, I will create another thread. I will create another thread. myThread2 implements runnable. Again, this myThread2, that is another thread, also need to have access to the same resource. So same data structure, in this case table, is accessed by more than one thread. So implements runnable myThread2 this time. So now I have created another thread that access the same data structure table. Like that, you can create any number of threads. For example, here I want to print the multiplication table of 10. Similarly, for example, I can like that I can create any number of threads. My thread 3. For example, now I want to print the multiplication table of 3. So all these threads access the same data structure table. So here the print table method is the critical section, maybe because at a time when one thread is executing, another thread should not interfere it. So without synchronization, how the output will be, we will see. So I need to create a main method. So I'll be creating the main method. For example, public class synchronization test signature of main method public static void main. So you already know all the threads need to be started from the main thread. All threads need to be spawned from the main thread. So there are 3 threads. All the 3 threads access the table object. So first you need to create an object to table. So this is your shared resource. So remember, I am creating only a single object. Single object is accessed by more than one thread. See here only one object is there. One object. One object. And it is shared. It is shared among 3 threads. So it need to be shared by between my thread 1 empty1 equal to new space my thread 1 need to have access of the thread object. My thread 2 new space my thread 2 same object. See, observe. See, this is the constructor of thread. The constructor of thread is it accepts a table object. So I created a table object. I have passed a table object to the corresponding thread. See, observe. Thread 1 accesses the same object obj. Thread 2 also accesses the same object. Only one object. That same object is shared among multiple threads. So in this case, my thread 3 empty3 equal to new space my thread 3 of object. So next I need to create threads. Since I used implement Sunnable, I have to create 3 threads. Thread T1 equal to new space thread of. I have to pass the runnable object empty1. Similarly, I'll pass other 2 threads. Thread of empty2. Thread T3 equal to new space thread of empty3. So I have created 3 threads. Now, in order to start their execution, I need to call the method start. So you have seen the life cycle method of a thread. Until and unless explicitly a thread is started, right, the control will not be placed inside the run method. So every thread need to be explicitly started. So now the 3 threads are created and they will start. Now I'll save this class synctest.java. See, remember I haven't used synchronization. See, to achieve synchronization, you must have multiple threads competing for a shared resource or for a shared data structure. So I have created a shared data structure with the name, with a method print table. So this print table is used by 3 threads. So when more than one thread is trying to access a shared resource, you must make sure that only one thread is executing that shared resource. Actually, this is called as a critical section. At a time, only one thread can execute. Remaining threads need to wait. That concept is synchronization. Without synchronization, you observe the data will be inconsistent or the data will be corrupt. It will not be proper. Now I will show the output. open command prompt. In that multi-threading Java C space sync test.java. This giving some errors. Thread T1 equal to what it is saying. Cannot find symbol MT1. MT1, MT2, MT3. Thread MT1 equal to my thread 1, my thread 2, my thread 3. I'll save it. Line number 58. Empty. I'll try to open sync test. Thread T1 equal to new space thread of MT1, MT2 and MT3. My thread 1 of object. It seems I give more spaces. You should give only one white space. The same error. The MT cannot find. I'll delete it. Class my thread 1. My thread 1 space MT1 equal to new space my thread 1 of have to give that object. I'll try to comment other two. So I will save it. Again I'll open command prompt multi-threading cd space java c space sync test.java. Thread T1 equal to cannot find symbol. It is going like that. Now you can try to compile java c space sync test.java. Space thread of MT1. We have an MT1. So here I have closed the for loop. Here I have used full table. Okay. So first I have created the table. Here I have closed the for loop. Here I have used the closest synchronized method or normal method. Then I have closed the class. So class my thread 1 implements nullable my thread 1. Then I have used the run method public void run. See, that is because of the improper comments. That comments are not closed properly. That's why that error came. So that error was because of that comments were not properly closed. So I have created a shared resource. Okay. So I have created a shared resource name table which is shared by more than one thread. Which is shared. See, always be careful with copy paste. Because of copy paste also you will get the errors. For example, here I need to properly modify to my thread 3, mt3, my thread 3. So now I will try to again compile the program. It is compiled. Now execute. See, while executing, you observe. Actually, one thread need to print multiplication table of 5. Another thread need to print multiplication table of 10. And the another thread needs to print multiplication table of 3. As you observe, here the data is inconsistent. Why? Because 3 into 1 equal to 3. Then 10 into 1 equal to 10. 5 into 1 equal to 5. Here the data is inconsistent. Why? Because the shared resource, here the shared resource, in this case print table, it is a shared resource that is shared by 3 threads. Whenever a shared resource is shared by multiple threads, we have to make sure that only one thread is executing that shared resource. Actually, this is called as a critical section. Inside this critical section, only one thread need to execute. For that, we need to lock this shared resource. To lock this shared resource, we have to use a concept of monitor. So in Java, we are having an implicit monitor with the name synchronized. So if you use synchronized keyword before a method, what happens means nothing but it puts a lock to this shared resource. So I have used the synchronized keyword before this method. Now observe the output. So synchronized keyword is a keyword in Java which acquires a lock for a object, for a method. In this case, the object is the method. So when you put synchronized before this method, only one thread can execute this print table. So this is treated as a critical section. So whichever thread enters the critical section, it acquires a lock. And until and unless the thread releases the lock, no other thread can enter that critical section. I'll compile the program. After compiling, again I will execute. See, here now we observe how the data is synced. In the previous version, without using synchronization, the data became inconsistent or the data become corrupted. But by acquiring a lock, what happened means, how synchronization is achieved in Java means 3 ways: using synchronized keyword, synchronized block, and static synchronization. This is how you will achieve synchronization using synchronized keyword. So when I put synchronized before a shared resource, here the shared resource is print table. When the shared resource is shared among multiple threads, so multiple threads try to access the shared resource, how will we make sure that only one thread executes its shared resources based on the concept of lock or monitor? So in Java, it is very easy to acquire a lock. Every object in Java has access to a lock or a monitor using synchronized keyword. So that is the use of synchronized keyword. Next is using, this is synchronized using synchronized method. So whenever I use synchronized keyword before a method, that method is set to be locked. That is, only one thread can execute that method. Now consider way they went for synchronized block. See, for example, consider there are 50 lines of code in this shared resource. Out of that 50 lines of code, only 5 or 6 lines is only the critical section. See, out of the 50 lines, 45 lines does not cause any inconsistency to the data. Only 5 or 6 lines causes inconsistency to the data. So if I put synchronized keyword before a method, all the statements will be synchronized. That is, all the statements will be in critical section. But if I want to confine the critical section only to a piece of code, but not to an entire method, we will be using synchronized block. So synchronized block identifies only a piece of code within a method. If that piece of code is executed by more than one thread at a time, it may cause inconsistency. It causes inconsistency. So instead of placing all the statements inside a synchronized block, or instead of putting synchronized keyword before a method, it's sufficient if you put some piece of statements within synchronized block which causes data inconsistency. So suppose you have 50 lines of code in your method, but you want to synchronize only 5 lines. So if you put synchronize before a method, all the 50 lines will be synchronized. That is, all the 50 lines will be in critical section. So entire 50 lines cannot be executed by other threads. But to have efficient use of multi-threading, you can use synchronized block, so that remaining 45 lines can be executed concurrently by all the threads, but only 5 lines will be in critical section. So how will you achieve that? Synchronized block means that synchronized. So how will you put a piece of statements in synchronized block means now the method is not synchronized. So I am removing synchronized before the method, and whichever set of statements need to be synchronized or put in a synchronized block. So the syntax is synchronized. For example, I want to synchronize a current object, right? Synchronized of this, open curly brace and close the synchronized block. In this case, there are only fewer statements, but consider there are some more statements. There can be some more statements above the synchronized method and below the synchronized block. Then only these piece of code will be synchronized. So this is use of synchronized block. Easy ways synchronized of this. That means current object will be synchronized. This piece of code will only be synchronized. This is only the piece of code that is under critical section. So I will save it. I'll again compile it. Again execute it. See, observe, the output will be the same. Instead of using synchronized method, here I am using synchronized block. See, observe, the multiplication table of 5 which is being printed by one thread doesn't interfere with another thread which is printing multiplication table of 3. Each thread, when it enters this synchronized block, only one thread will be execution. One thread need to acquire the lock, then it can execute the critical section. Remaining threads will wait. So remember, either synchronized method or synchronized block, they need to operate upon a same object. They need to operate upon the same object, that is table object. If you create multiple objects for this table and each thread accesses the separate object, then again it will be not synchronized. See, for example, consider, I'll write table object 1 now thread 3 access that second object, same table object only but another object. See, thread 3 accessing that object. So now I'll save it. Now I'll try to execute the program. See, here again what is happening? If you observe again, the data is becoming inconsistent. Even though you have used synchronized block or synchronized method before a method, if you create two different objects to the same shared object, again the data is becoming inconsistent. So this problem is solved by using the third method, that is static synchronization. See, for using synchronized method or synchronized block, only a same object or a single object must be used among multiple threads. If another object of the same resource is used, then again it leads to data inconsistency. So this problem is solved by using static synchronization. If all of them uses, for example, in this case, thread 1 and thread 2 use the same object, so they will be consistent. Whereas thread 3 is using another instance of the same shared object, it leads to inconsistency. So they went for static synchronization. So if you put synchronized keyword before a method, all the lines within that method will be synchronized. But if you want to put only a piece of code or only some lines of code under critical section or the entire method, you can use synchronized block. For synchronized method or synchronized block, all the threads need to have access to a single object or a common object. So static synchronization, as I already told you, for example, here consider object 1 and object 2 are two different instances of the same shared object. If thread 1 and thread 2 access the object 1, thread 1 and thread 2 only synchronize. Why? Because they are using same object. If thread 3 and thread 4 access another instance of object 2, then thread 3 and thread 4 are in synchronization. But T1 can interfere with T3, T2 can interfere with T4, or T4 with T1 and T2 with T3. So when different instances of objects are created with normal synchronization, when different objects exist, threads of one object can interfere with threads of another object. So to solve this problem, static synchronization is used. Static synchronization. So that problem can be solved using synchronization. So if I use static synchronization, we can make sure that even though different objects are created for the same shared resource, we can make sure that only one thread is gets executed. So for that, so same code, for example, in this code, you have observed my thread 3 has another object of the same resource. Thread 1 and thread 2 are having access to the same resource. Now I will modify the code using static synchronization. So static synchronization, what you need to do simply means, for simplicity, I'll remove the synchronized block for simplicity so that it will be more easy. You can use anyway synchronized. So instead of here static synchronization, use static keyword. STATIC. You know, static methods. Static methods belong to an entire class but not to any particular object. Class variables can be declared by using the static keyword. So I have closed the for loop. Okay. So synchronize static void means, static means this method is property of entire class. It does not belong to any one particular object. It belongs to the entire class as a whole. Now since no objects exist, so no need to have any reference, no need to have this. Simply write static methods can be called directly by using the class name. This is the only difference. No need to create any instances or references to table. Why? Because in that the method is static. Static means that belongs to the entire class, not to any one particular object. So simply no need to create a reference of the table. You can directly write like this. Same code, I'll copy and paste. So my thread 2 also uses the same static method. For example, in this case 10. In this case, for example, I want to print the table of 3. I will save it. So here you need not need any object. Why? Because all the threads have access to the same static object. Same static method. Static method means that does not belong to any particular object. So here no need of these table objects. So simply I'll be creating the threads. All these access the static method. Static method in table. So I'll save it. And again I'll compile it. See, by using static method without any objects, since the static method belongs to the entire class but not to any one particular object, the synchronization is achieved. Here the main advantage is, even though different threads will have access to different objects, the synchronization is achieved. That is static synchronization. Simply put, static keyword before the method. Since you are putting static keyword before the method, those methods belong to the entire class, not with reference to any particular object. So no need to create a table object. That is how static synchronization is achieved. The main advantage of static synchronization is you need not to have different objects for the same shared resource. Even though different objects are created for the same shared resource, all those objects will be synchronized. As given in the example, without static synchronization, object 1 and object 2, two different objects of the same shared resource. In this case, only T1 and T2 cannot interfere. Why? Because those two are only synchronized. In T3 and T4, object 2 is synchronized between T3 and T4. So T3 can interfere with T2, T4 can interfere with T1. But how will you make sure that all the objects of the class are synchronized with all the objects of the class will have the reference to the same method? That is a static synchronization. So next topic is inter-thread communication. So already I have told you there are two ways to achieve synchronization in Java. First one is using mutual exclusive, that you have seen. Mutual exclusive is achieved by using synchronized method, synchronized block, or static synchronization. Second one is inter-thread communication. So how do different threads communicate with each other even though they are in critical section? So inter-thread communication or cooperation is all about allowing synchronized threads to communicate with each other. So even though the threads are synchronized, how they can communicate with each other? For example, without this inter-thread communication, if one thread is in part of a critical section, no another thread can enter into that critical section. But by using this inter-thread communication, even though one thread is in a critical section, while it is executing the critical section, another thread can interfere provided they use some special mechanisms. Those special mechanisms comes under inter-thread communication. Inter-thread communication or cooperation is all about allowing synchronized threads to communicate with each other. How do synchronized threads communicate with each other? So mainly they will use wait and notify method. So inside a synchronized method, inside a synchronized block, if I call the wait, means the thread that is currently executing that synchronized method will go into blocked state, and another thread that waits for the synchronized block will execute. After it successfully executes, it will notify, and another waiting threads will be executing. So wait and notify are the two methods. Wait, what it does means, whenever you call the wait method on a thread, the thread that is executing in the critical section will suspend its execution and it will go to blocked mode, and other threads will be notified using the notify method. So wait method, it causes the current thread to release the lock. It releases the lock and wait until either another thread invokes the notify method or the notify all method. So wait method, it simply releases the lock and goes into blocked state. And again it comes onto running mode when another thread invokes the notify method. So there are two overloading methods, overloaded methods for wait. Wait, it waits indefinitely. wait of long timeout until the specified number of milliseconds expires. It will be in waiting state, waits for specified amount of time. Coming to notify. So some other thread has entered into the monitor, entered into the critical section. It has done its job. Then it need to notify all other waiting threads by using the notify method. Notify method notifies only another thread. If there are multiple threads waiting for a common resource, you can use notify all. Wakes up a single thread that is waiting on the object's monitor, so that other threads can come and execute this critical section. Now the current executing thread goes into blocked state. It releases the lock or monitor and goes into blocked state. See, this is the concept explained via a diagram. Threads enter to acquire a lock. Lock is acquired by on thread. Now thread goes to waiting. Now thread goes to waiting if you call wait method on the object. Otherwise, it releases the lock and exits. If you call notify or notify all, thread moves to the notified state or runnable state. Now thread is available to acquire the lock. So these are the differences between wait and a sleep. Already sleep also, we know sleep what it does means it suspends the thread that is currently being executed by the JVM and it moves into blocked state. But if you use sleep, it doesn't releases the lock. We have seen in the previous program also, even though you are calling sleep, the thread doesn't releases the lock. Whereas using a wait releases the lock. Wait, it is a method of object class, whereas sleep is a method of thread. That's why I'm writing thread is a static method. Sorry, sleep is a static method of thread class. That's why I'm writing thread dot sleep of specified number of milliseconds. So it is a static method, wait is a non-static method. These are some of the differences between wait and sleep. So to understand the example of interthread communication, see, I will be using the bank. First, I will execute the example of a bank. Then I will tell you how the same example can be applied to a producer-consumer problem. So, for example, consider a banking example in which a customer can withdraw the amount from his statement. For example, consider initial balance is 10,000, void withdraw. For example, I want to withdraw some amount. So this withdraw must be synchronized. As I already told you, in case of shared account holders, if one person is trying to withdraw the amount, another shared account holder, if he is trying to withdraw the amount at the same time using another ATM card in another ATM machine, he must be denied access synchronized. At a time only, one person will be able to withdraw. So here I will simply write system.out.println, system.out.println going to withdraw. So whenever a person withdraws, I am printing this statement going to withdraw. So when I should withdraw, I should be able to withdraw when the requested amount is less than the available balance. So if the amount available in balance is less than the requested amount, that is, if balance is less than the amount given by the user to withdraw the money, then what he has to do? Then we must alert. We must alert saying that insufficient balance. System dot out dot println less balance. waiting for deposit. That is, the balance is very less. Why? Because request amount available in bank is 10,000 and he is requesting for 20,000. Then we have to wait until deposit. So then I will print wait for deposit. Then what will I do means I'll call the wait method. Again, wait method, it throws a checked exception, interrupt exception. I'll simply catch that exception. Else means his requested amount is less than the amount available in bank or a deposit happened. Then I'll write this dot amount equal to amount system.out.println withdraw completed. Withdraw completed. So withdraw is very simple. This is the actual balance available in the bank. It need to be synchronized. Why? Because it must be executed by only one thread at a time. If the requested amount is less than the balance available, you have to indicate a message less balance, and if he tries to deposit, it will wait. So this method will wait. Even though it is critical section, it is sending wait. Wait means the thread that is trying to withdraw the amount will be suspended and it will wait until some other person deposits. So now I wrote the code for withdraw. Now I'll write the code for deposit. For example, consider deposit is being done by one thread, withdraw is being done by another thread. So how do these two threads communicate with each other? So deposit some amount, system dot, all right, system dot out dot println, system dot out dot println, going to deposit, going to deposit. So after depositing, what I need to do means I need to add it to the amount. Depositing means adding something to the amount. This dot amount equal to whichever amount he wants to deposit. This dot amount. So finally I'll print system out dot print deposited, deposit completed. So after depositing the amount, I need to notify. Where I need to notify means, for example, initially 10,000 is there. He has requested for 15,000. So insufficient balance, it need to wait. So this thread will be suspended. Now coming to deposit, this is also synchronized. So deposit, he is depositing 10,000. So 10,000 plus 10,000, now it becomes 20,000. Now the requested balance, the requested amount for withdrawal is 15,000 only. But now the balance is 20,000. So it will indicate to the other thread it can execute. For that we will be using the notify. Wait means the thread will be suspended for some period of time until another thread notifies it. So next what I need to do means finally, so now for example in this case deposit close. Now I need to close the class. Now I need to close the class. Now I need to create multiple threads for it. So I'll create class my thread 1 thread. See, same thing here. The shared resource is the customer. So the shared resource need to be used by more than one thread. So I will be creating more than one thread. My thread one extends one thread. It needs to make use of customer. So I'll create an object. My thread one. Again, sorry. Similar to a table, I need to have a shared resource. Here the shared resource is a bank ATM. So I'll initialize this dot c equal to c. So the functionality of this thread is, for example, this thread tries to, it tries to withdraw. For example, c dot withdraw. For example, 15,000 I want to withdraw. See, shared resource. Here the shared resource are withdraw and deposit. Both are synchronized. So while one thread is trying to withdraw, another thread will wait until he withdraws. Now I will create another thread. So one thread, what it is trying to do means it is trying to withdraw. Until withdraw is finished, other threads need to wait for deposit or withdraw. In case of joint account, another account holder need to wait until withdrawal is finished. Since sufficient balance is not there, it will wait. So actually balance is 10,000. Thread is trying to withdraw 15,000. So it will wait. For example, now another person or another thread has deposited. So now I will create another thread. I'll use a case, same customer object. Now he is trying to deposit, say, consider 30,000. So what will happen? Now the balance will be 10,000 plus 30,000. Balance will be 40,000. So it will notify that another thread can now withdraw the amount. From 40,000, 15,000 will be cut and remaining will be the balance. Now I will test the application. For example, class bank test. Public static void main string args. So again, I will create an object for customer c equal to new space customer. I need to create object for my thread one. Empty1 equal to new space my thread one of customer object. My thread two equal to new space my thread two of customer object. Start the threads. Empty1 dot start empty2 dot start. See, now I will save the program as bank test dot java. See, first I will execute the program, then I will explain. Java C space bank test dot java. Illegal start of type is dot amount. Identifier expected semicolon. Is dot amount equal to minus. This dot account equal to instead of using shorthand operator, I'll write this dot amount minus amount. Similarly, I'll write here in case of deposit, this dot amount equal to this dot amount plus amount. Some problem is there. This dot amount equal to this dot amount equal to this dot amount plus amount. Say I took the amount, I have synchronized start AMO event just actually if I have closed if I have closed synchronized. Okay. This is system.out.println identifier expected. Opening tag and closing tags are not properly closed. See synchronized method. See where Wipro completed this is wrong. I have closed the synchronized method. Close the synchronized method over here. Extra brace came because of that copy paste errors came. Return type required. My thread one of customer space. See, this is my thread 2. See, now the program has been compiled successfully. Now I'll write less balance waiting for deposit. Less balance waiting for deposit. It means from the main thread, it is not notified properly. So deposit completed. This dot amount equal this dot plus. Save it. There is some problem in the code, so I'll try to modify it. mkest.java. Java C space bank test.java. See, for example, initially what I have done means initially the balance is 10,000. So initial balance is 10,000. There are two methods, withdraw and deposit. Both are synchronized. Why? Because while one is depositing, another need to wait, or another whenever one is trying to deposit, another thread to wait. Similarly, another thread trying to withdraw, deposit need to wait. So I have created the shared resource for customer with withdraw and deposit methods. So simple thing, whenever I want to withdraw, I'll check whether withdrawal amount is less than amount. So system.out.println. So if withdrawal requested withdrawal amount is less than amount, less balance waiting for deposit. So in thread one, I asked for withdrawal of 55,000. So balance is 10,000. So it is telling going to withdraw completed. Next, going to deposit completed. Now, for example, consider I am trying to withdraw, balance is only 10,000. Now I am trying to withdraw 15,000. Then let's see what will happen. See, going to withdraw, but less balance, waiting for deposit. Going to deposit, so has deposited. I have deposited 30,000. So initial 10,000 plus 30,000, total 40,000. From that 15,000 will be withdrawn and the total balance will be 25,000. So this is how the withdraw synchronized method and deposit synchronized method talk with each other. See, the same concept can be applied to say, for example, consider this is the balance of a customer. See, initially balance is 10,000. Now I am creating two threads. One thread, what it is doing means one thread that tries to withdraw from it. This is one thread. This need to be synchronized. And another thread that deposits. This need to also be synchronized. So this is one thread. This job is done by one thread. For example, in the previous case, thread 1, in my example, in this case, the deposit is done by another thread. In my example, my thread 2. So both this withdrawal thread and deposit thread need to access the same shared resource balance. So when customer is trying to withdraw, if he asks for withdrawal amount greater than 10,000, then he needs to wait. That's what I wrote in the code. See, if requested amount is less than the amount. For example, he has requested for withdrawal 15,000. The balance is only 10,000. So he need to wait. He will wait. So the withdrawal thread will move into blocked state. Now another thread will be come into execution. That another thread is deposit. Now we are trying to deposit how much? Deposit 30,000. So initial 10,000 plus 30,000, total 40,000. And what that thread will do means that thread will notify. That deposit thread will notify. After depositing, it will notify. It will notify that I have deposited. Now another thread can execute the critical section. So that is the main use of wait and notify. So finally, so if the available balance, if the requested amount for withdrawal is less than the balance, it will be proceeded successfully. Otherwise, if it is less, it will wait until the deposit will be done by the customer. This is how the threads communicate with each other. So if withdrawal amount is less than the balance, it will wait until another thread deposits the amount. Once another thread deposits the amount, it will call notify method. Notify method indicates I have done my transaction successfully. Now another thread which is waiting can execute. For withdrawal, if the balance is less, we have called the wait. Wait means it will be suspended and it will wait until another thread executes and notifies it. The same concept can be used in producer consumer. For producer consumer problem, we need to have a shared data structure. For example, consider it is an array. For example, consider the shared data structure is an array. Producer, this need to be synchronized. So always remember, for the shared data structure, you need to follow synchronization. The producer need to be synchronized and consumer also need to be synchronized. Both need to synchronize the shared data structure array. So here what happens means first producer need to produce the data into the array. So until the producer produces data into the array, consumer must wait. The consumer will wait until the producer produces the data in the array. Initially array will be empty, so consumer will wait. So producer, what he has to do means, what he has to produce the data and notify. After notifying, he will wait. So after producing the data, it need to wait, and so it notifies the another thread, the consumer, to consume the data and will wait. So consumer, once the producer notifies it, it will move into the critical section, it will execute, and after consuming the data, it will notify the other thread, synchronize that I have consumed the data, you can start. I have consumed the data, you can start producing. This is how two different threads communicate with each other using wait and notify. Wait, it simply suspends the thread into blocked state. It suspends the thread into blocked state and notifies the other threads that are waiting to be executed on the critical section. With this, I'll stop my presentation. Thank you.